So the news is out. Lumote is going to be showing with the Indie MEGABOOTH at PAX West 2019. And we're super excited. But what I wanted to share with you guys is this actually isn't the first time that Lumote has shown with the Indie MEGABOOTH, as shown by my t-shirt. We actually showed with them in 2018 at PAX West, and it was such an amazing time. But the very first time we actually submitted Lumote was in 2016, and it was a very different game. So different, in fact, that we were not accepted. We ended up having a call with them to ask them sort of why we weren't selected and how we could improve, and getting the feedback from the judges. And a lot of it was like it was really too dark, and people got really confused. And so
the original concept for Lumote came from an Unreal game jam called Bump in the Night, where you were a glowing cube and there was no light except for your own light, and whenever you jumped, it expanded the light. So as you can see in our original build, we really wanted to keep that, and we wanted everything to be as dark as it could be, and the suspense of the game came from expanding your light and not knowing where you were going. Turns out people really like knowing where they're able to go and being able to see stuff. So a lot of players in the Indie MEGABOOTH got confused about where to go, and it just wasn't great. The other thing that was really confusing was at the time, Kyle and Arn had been playing a lot of Bloodborne, and they really loved the idea of this overlapping world, and we wanted to create something similar. The problem once again went back to the fact that everything was super dark, and so the judges never actually got out of the hub room when they were playing it. They kind of wandered around a bit, and then they just gave up.
we ended up spending the next 2 years improving on what the judges had told us, getting friends to play and going to different local events, and just changing not the core concepts of Lumote, but how it was presented.
So after we were rejected, we knew we had to go back to the drawing board and actually distill Lumote down to what the hook was. And that's kind of a really core concept you have to think about when you come up with your indie game, is what makes this game great. And for Lumote, we realized it wasn't the darkness and the expanding of light, it was possession. And along with possession came this idea of power flow, which is where we started introducing the master mode. So you had Lumote blue power flowing, showing what you've already done. And then instead of darkness in the distance, you had the master mode red coming back towards you. This also let us address the two main issues that the judges had, which was the darkness and being unable to see where you were going. We now had this bright red master mode power in the distance that players knew to go towards. And then the hub world, we decided to get rid of and make the beginning of the game linear. And this made it a lot easier also to craft puzzles because we could slowly introduce new mechanics. The other main thing we did was we took Lumote out of the glass cube. So now we had this really cute, squishy creature that made us visually stand out from all the other cube games. The other thing we did in terms of just straight submitting to Indie MEGABOOTH was in our gameplay video, instead of describing what we were doing, we gave more intention of why we had these things in there.
Now, for the second time, 2019, yay, this year, we resubmitted Lumote, and we were accepted again.
So that brings us to this year, and we now have 3 different worlds and over 40 puzzles. And so when we submitted, we wanted Indie MEGABOOTH to see the progress we'd made. We were no longer this single string of puzzles. We were an entire world. In our gameplay video, we also focused more now on how we were a full world and we now had this narrative, and it was a full experience instead of a small one-off. Overall, this has been really a learning experience for us over the past 3 years on how to present your game and how to make yourself stand out in the crowd of indie games. You have to have a hook. You have to be able to explain your game concisely, and you have to look visually differently enough from everybody else. And I feel like we've achieved that with Lumote, or at least I hope we have. But I guess that's for all of you guys to decide, and I hope we see you all at PAX this year so you can play what you've seen and tell us firsthand what you think. Thanks so much for watching this video, and yeah. Also coming to you live from my desk, Kyle has informed me that I need to remind everybody to please wishlist us on Steam. I think the stat is you need to have 50,000 wish lists for you to get a bump when your game goes live on Steam. So every wish list counts, and yeah, I'd really appreciate it. So thanks a lot for your wish list if you do it, and if you don't, that's okay. Thanks anyway.